We have that cylinder on top for the eyes. We taper inward a little bit, and then we have that cut out. We have that contour that I was talking about, like this. And then again for the neck, right? Same thing. So the way I drew the neck here, in those sections, I'm not going to do those sections anymore, but I'm going to think about those sections. So instead of the section, like the cross section being a circle like this, if I analyze my reference, I see that there's a little bit of like a transition going from like the hard skin on top to the soft skin underneath. And between that transition, there's a little bit of extrusion, right? And so instead of adding that extrusion as an extra shape, I'm just going to add the extrusion in the contour or in the cross section. So I'm adding like a little bit of that extrusion like this before we round off the shape. And so when you go about analyzing that, first thing I do is I maybe draw in one cross section that is pivotal for me to understand the orientation of my animal. Right, I'm just going to draw through it for you guys. Right, like this. So this is the orientation, and if we draw another one, like somewhere over here maybe. Right. Again, drawing through. Right. And so I'm following this. Down like that. And then same thing for the rib cage. So what I'm doing now, again, don't try to wedge everything together yet. Don't bother yourself with that. Just try to accurately represent what you're seeing with more manipulated shapes. So the way I'm going to represent the body itself now, the rib cage and part of the pelvis, is similar. Again, I'm just going to analyze what I see, not what I think I know, just what I see. And if I'm looking at this, what I'm seeing in terms of the cross contour and the section, the cross section of this rib cage, we kind of have a shape that goes up like this for that almost a very exaggerated spine that we're seeing. And then we have, most of what is the rib cage itself. And then it kind of comes together in a point again a little bit, right? So again, that's what I'm going to draw here. First, it's a little bit more subtle. Then it's very extreme, right? And again, I'm just going to draw through the form. Going to use some dotted lines, right? And then I'm going to do one for the back as well, which is not going to be as extreme, but because again, you see that spine going up and then down. So it kind of fades out a little bit. So it's going to be less here. Again, this is just what I see, right? You might see an entirely different thing. But try to analyze what you're seeing, not what I'm doing. Right? And then we have a little bit of that pelvis. So now I'm going into this boxy area. For me, again, box, same thing. There's a little bit of the spine sticking out and then coming down, right? So that's what I'm drawing. Right, so we can already connect these forms. Right, I'm not gonna connect this one yet because I still need to draw the arms, so let me draw the arms first. So what you could do for the shoulders, instead of like pasting a cylinder on top, you could think about the wrapping method that we talked about. Wrapping on the beginner's course or wrapping when I talk about it in the Knights Week. This is the exact same thing. Like, how do these contours, or when they connect with each other, how do they wrap around? So we have a little bit of that going on the side. We have some wrapping of a sphere going on like this before it then connects into, again, a manipulated form of a cylinder, and then another manipulated form. So instead of it just being a tapered form like this, tapered cylinder, sorry, we have a little bit of an inflation going on, and then it changes into more of a squarish shape, right? It's the same for our lower arm. It's kind of a meaty part, and then it fades out into more of a squarish shape. So again, that's all shape manipulation or contour manipulation, right? It's basically squarish form, and then softly transitioning into rounder shapes, right? That's basically what's happening. So that's what I'm drawing here. At least that's what I'm seeing, right? If you see something else, it could be completely accurate. Right, same on the other side. Right, I'm gonna draw the fingers later. All right, so now that I have the arms, I can complete my ribcage section. And then I'm gonna go into the upper leg. Now for me, the upper leg, from what I'm seeing, isn't much difference from what I've drawn here, except for that it wedges into that belly area. Same for the calf muscles, inflation, and then quickly tapers outwards a little bit. And I'm gonna keep the feet very similar. I'm not gonna complete those. All right, we have inflation for the lower leg like this, and then it kind of wedges into, wraps around that feet area. And then we could have our tail. go like this. We can indicate some of the contours on the legs. And we can complete our fingers. Again, just treating them as cylinders that taper outward and inward. That's all they do. Now we probably have a little bit of a transition of the spine like this. And when I look at the tail, I really don't see a lot of manipulation. For me, it's just maybe a little bit of an extension on top like this, but it's not a lot, right? So right? And this is what I feel like you should consider at all times based on the simple shapes that you've established here. Don't try to rush into this, right? Think about this, then go to this. While thinking about, okay, I have simple contours here. How are they being manipulated from what I see? Again, don't draw what you think you know in this case, right? Or usually, just draw what you actually see on that one reference that you're using. Don't look at other references to figure out more of what you think you need to see. Just look at the actual reference and try to really, really think about what the cross contours of this reference could be. And if you really struggle with this assignment, maybe, take your reference into Photoshop, lower the opacity, and first draw through it. See if you can recognize contour shapes. See if you can draw across it to recognize contour shapes, cross sections, and then try to translate that into your mannequins. All right. That's all I wanted to say, I think. Do you guys have any questions regarding this? Yes. Please do tell, Jacqueline. I will read out the questions out loud so you can, so people can hear them in the recording. Don't worry. So we use one reference and then we draw it from a different angle or in a different pose. Yes, exactly. But if you're a beginner, Jacqueline, first draw it in a different angle, not a different pose. If you're advanced and you're a little bit more comfortable with more complex shapes like this, try to change the pose and the angle. Just to see for yourself if you can play with these shapes and keep the proportions of your reference accurate, or at least as accurate or believable as possible, because that's going to really help you when you want to go and illustrate in part 3. Because the only thing we're building up to here is an illustration or a design, right? If you want to do a design this week, guys, by the way, that's completely fine. But I didn't want to overburden you with also manipulating the shapes. I just wanted to really, especially for you beginners or intermediate artists, really get familiar with the proportions and the shapes of your reference, and then try to make a very cool design with that based on everything you've learned in the rest of the cycle.